Democrats take the House. The final counts are coming in on the U.S. midterm elections, so let's break it down. The latest information from political news site and polling data aggregator Real Clear Politics says the Democrats have won 28 seats, putting their total number in the House of Representatives at 223. Meanwhile, the Republicans have lost 28 seats and won 198, so the Democrats take the House for the first time since 2010. Here's why. There are 435 voting members of the U.S. House of Representatives representing the 50 states. A party needs 218 seats for a majority in the House. The Dems beat expectations. They were originally expected to win 203 seats, while the Republicans were expected to take 194, with the remaining 38 seats being toss-ups. According to the polling website 270 to Win, there are still 14 races that have yet to be called. 5 of those are expected to go to the Republican Party. And even if the GOP ends up winning all 14, they still wouldn't be able to keep the House, as the Dems already have the majority. And that's bad news for U.S. President Donald Trump and the Republican Party. Previously, they had control of the House and the Senate. The latest data from Real Clear Politics says they've held on to the Senate, winning 52 of the upper house's 100 seats. But the loss of the House will make it harder for Republicans to deliver on their policy agenda. Here are more stories related to the law.
Europe toughens privacy laws. Europe is about to embark on a big-time revamp of privacy laws. From May 2018, businesses operating in the European Union could be fined 20 million euros, or 4% of their global turnover, for violating new privacy legislation. The fine amount is determined by whichever figure is larger. According to the New York Times, 4% of Facebook's global turnover would be around $1.6 billion US. According to Reuters, the law will apply to social media companies, banks, insurance firms, technology businesses, and any enterprise which collects consumer data en masse. Can't they all just operate from London then? No. This affects Brits as well. The UK is still a member of the EU and remains subject to EU law until they Brexit next March. The new law means that companies need to be more transparent about how they handle user data, get permission for it, and it also gives users power to request for it to be deleted or moved elsewhere. So, as the Times reports, this could mean moving your banking information from one bank to another, or even switching your Spotify playlist to another provider. U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen warned the law may give rise to more cyber threats. She said users opting not to give information may hamper internet security research, which relies on trends in this data. The new law comes into effect in all 28 EU states on Friday, May 25th of this year. WhatsApp bans millions of Brits as new privacy law comes into play. Millions of Brits are now reportedly without access to the world's most popular chat app thanks to new legislation from the European Union. Basically, anyone under 16 years of age who didn't verify their age has been dropped from WhatsApp, thanks to the European Union's new General Data Protection Regulations. That's GDPR for short. Now, that law, in case you live in a cave and haven't been spammed by companies you've long forgotten about over data for the last 6 months, is meant to enforce privacy EU-wide. But what about Brexit? Whole other discussion, Tomo sapiens, but TLDR? UK is still subject to EU law until March 2019 at the earliest. That means companies like the Facebook-owned WhatsApp need to comply with it if they want to continue doing business in Europe. So how are they going to check users' real ages? Well, from as far as we can tell, pre-16 WhatsApp user wipeout, all anyone had to do to continue using the service was to check a box saying they were over 16. Now, that'll be super effective, right? After all, it's not like anyone, especially kids, will lie about their age to access stuff they shouldn't online in 2018. Facebook moves users to duck EU privacy law. While the world is still trying to figure out why the Zuckerberg needs a booster chair, his social media juggernaut was busy making moves. Facebook has moved more than 1.5 billion users out of reach of a new European Union privacy law. Users outside the US and Canada are currently governed by terms of service agreed with the social network's international headquarters in Ireland. The European Union's General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, is set to take effect May 25th. The new law allows European regulators to fine companies for collecting or using personal data without users' consent. Facebook is liable under GDPR fines of up to 4% of its global revenue, around $1.6 billion, for any infractions. Facebook user data from Asia, Africa, and Latin America will be transferred from the Ireland headquarter offices to main offices in California. The change affects more than 70% of the site's 2 billion plus members. As of December, Facebook had 239 million users in the US and Canada, 370 million in Europe, and 1.52 billion users everywhere else. Let's be honest, people, if you're really concerned about your privacy, don't sign up for free social media sites.
Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia died over the weekend. What now? The sudden death of 79-year-old Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia on Saturday has the chance to change the ideological balance of the Supreme Court for a generation. However, Senate Republicans have made it very clear they'll do anything to prevent that change from happening and won't approve of Scalia's replacement until next year. Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia's death on Saturday means that the Supreme Court now has the same number of Democrats and Republicans. While Supreme Court cases can still proceed, the possibility of a 4-4 split occurring is likely. When this happens, a lower court's decision is upheld and no precedent is set. President Obama, who has appointed 2 justices during his terms, will want to appoint Scalia's replacement before his term ends in 2017. Senate Republicans, though, have already made it very clear they're not going to make it easy for Obama. Obama will first nominate a candidate who then goes through an extensive financial and personal background check. The FBI probes their criminal history, if any, as well. The Senate Judiciary Committee, made up of 18 senators, then interviews the nominee and asks questions about their past casework and qualifications before they and a full Senate vote on the nominee. However, in this case, Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley, a Republican, has already said he will refuse to even begin the confirmation process. Although a simple majority of 46 Senate Democrats and 5 Republicans is all that's needed to confirm an appointment, Republicans would likely filibuster to obstruct proceedings. 60 votes are needed to overturn the filibuster. The longest it has ever taken to confirm a Supreme Court nominee is 125 days. Obama has more than 300 days left in office, so it's possible we may have just 8 justices for quite a while.